Welcome to Pet Sitter Confessional. Today we're brought to you by Time to Pet and Pet. You run a serious business, but are your clients and potential clients serious about working with you? How do you vet clients appropriately and make sure that all expectations are set up front and understood by everybody involved? Today, we are super excited to have Kerri-Ann Griffith, the Nashville Kitty Sitter, on the show to talk about how she creates and crafts her boutique cat care business, connects with the right clients, and helps them see the immense value that she brings to them, whether they know it or not. Let's get
Sure. I am Kerri-Ann Griffith, and I am based in Nashville, Tennessee, and I am the CEO and the sole proprietor of Nashville Kitty Sitter. We are based in Nashville, Tennessee, and we have a 10-mile radius, but I do also travel fees for clients that live outside of my service area if they are interested in that.
You know, I know the travel fees is something that comes up a lot in discussion with pets. How did you land on travel fees versus, expanding your service radius or just saying no to people who are further away?
I think I did it for kind of not to weed out people, but just there's some people that just really, really wanted pet care. If they had a diabetic cat, for instance, and they lived 30 minutes away and they haven't been on vacation in 3 years and they couldn't find anybody to watch their cat and they didn't care how much the travel fee was. They wanted to use my company. And I said, you know what, that's fine. We can do that for you. And it just kind of started happening more often. And so if they are serious about that, then I'll take them on as a client.
Yeah, is that a set fee? Is it an extra mileage rate, or how do you calculate what that charges after they go beyond that 10-mile?
So I do a mileage fee.
And it really does help weed people out for sure. And I think that's part of what we get to do is go, okay, the client has asked me to do something. Like, how serious are they about this? Are they serious enough to pay money for it? Okay, that's one thing. Are they serious enough to pay more money for this extra service? I tend to say some things like, ridiculous asks get ridiculous prices, because it's just, we have to make it worth it.
Yeah. And I've had clients reach out to me that are, an hour away, and I have to say to them, well, this is how much it would cost. And I really don't think it's, feasible for either of us. It doesn't really make any sense. It would just be, an outrageous amount of money. But I do know some professionals that live in your area and service your area that I can send to you. So that's kind of how I help them in a way.
So how did you get started in this, Kerri?
Well, I had been doing a little bit of pet sitting here and there, probably like the year prior to me starting. And after the pandemic, things had just kind of, for everybody, gotten kind of different. And a lot of people were adopting pets and were going back to work and had their, even cats were very upset that their parents had to go back to work and were very needy. And so I started pet sitting for a lot of people in my apartment building, their cats. And they were like, hey, did you ever think about doing this as a side gig? And I was like, I don't know, maybe. I have no idea. Sure. Why not? And so when I started my company in January of 2022, I had done it for just a part-time business up until November of last year. And I just started getting busier and busier. And I was like, okay, this could be a thing. This is really awesome. I really love this.
And so how are you finding clients? Because am I correct in understanding that you focus solely on cats as a business?
I sure do. I sure do. Yes, I'm a cat mom of 2 rescue girls. And so it just made sense for me. And I wanted to have more of a boutique style niche business and learn everything I can about caring for cats. It was really important to me to be a source for my clients. And a lot of times I'll get texts or emails from them saying, hey, this is going on with my cat. What do I do? And sometimes I'm like, well, I'm not a vet, so I can't really give you a straight answer. So you should probably contact somebody at your veterinary office. They might be able to help you better with that. But it feels good that they think that I can help them with that stuff. But I really honestly started listening to your podcast when I first started my business, and I learned so much. So thank you.
No.
Yeah, it was awesome. Just really like the boots to the ground marketing and going to all the apartment complexes in the city and giving them my postcards with all my information on it. And I started just getting people inquiring about my business and asking me to come cat sit for them. So that was kind of how it all started there.
It just takes some little steps and a few good connections. And I think too often, I know, especially I do, of like, I've got to talk to everybody. I've got to be everywhere all the time and everything. Yes. And really pulling that back and going, no, I just need to really focus on making one or two quality connections with like one or two good apartments or one or two vet offices or one or two. Yeah. Not only is it more manageable, but the better the relationship with that person, the better referrals you get too. I found when I can really sit and talk, because we know all of the vets in our areas. Some of them know intimately what we do because we talk to them all the time. Others have no clue. Like they're just like, I don't know, go talk to these people. We're like, I don't even, we get these referrals and they say, so-and-so a vet talked to, told us to call you. And I'm like, why? I don't do any of that. What is it?
Yeah, you're like, who? What? Yeah. Yeah, you're like, we're not a like straight up boarding facility or a doggy daycare, like, just things that are totally off the wall. And you're like, no. Like I have people call me for cat boarding and I'm like, no. It has nowhere on my website that says that I do cat boarding, but
So how do you handle that conversation when people call you for cat boarding?
Well, I usually tell them, first off, that's not something that I offer. And then I will send them to either an actual cat boarding facility. There's one in town that I trust, or send them to a professional that does boarding in their home. But I don't always recommend it just because cats are so good at being in their own environment and around their own stuff. They get a little stressed. But say the client's, going away for 6 months. It's kind of a hard thing to do, drop-ins for 6 months. So it doesn't really make sense. Yeah,
or sometimes we get phone calls from people that are having their house fumigated, right? And the pet can't stay in, or they're doing a big renovation. And so I for me, a lot of times my first reaction is when they call asking for a service I don't offer, it's like, oh gosh, don't they know? Like, what? Like I can't get upset.
Yeah.
And then having to take that moment to just go, no, I need them to tell me like, okay, tell me more about why you're needing that service, or, what would be an excellent outcome for you. And they say, I'm going over, I'm taking a month and a half long trip, or, I'm have to be gone for 6 months, or I'm having my house fumigated or renovated. You go, oh, okay. Yeah, no, I can't help you with that. Right.
Yeah. I usually go, well, what exactly you're looking for? And sometimes they don't even know. They're like, oh, well, I want my cat boarded. But then when you talk to them more, it's like, I don't really think that's exactly what they're looking for. Like, I think drop-in visits would be a better fit for them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so powerful to ask that question and have them try and explain to you and define to you what they're looking for, because then we can really go, okay, like they're saying some keywords here. They're saying some things that are a little confusing. So I've got some follow-up questions, and now I can maybe guide them too. And especially, Kerri-Ann, how you said, like, you want to be a resource to people. So, if somebody calls you asking for something and, it's like, oh, no, that actually isn't a good fit. Here, let me explain why, and then be okay with them going, at the end of the day, they may still go, no, I don't want that. And having go, well, I've done what I can.
Right. Yeah. I just had a woman reach out to me, and she had an elderly cat that needed sub-Q fluids. And that's something that I don't know how to do. And so I said to her, I was just straight up with her, and I said, that's something that I am not familiar with. I'm not the right fit, but I can recommend this person to you that can do that for you. And I always try to recommend somebody else. I don't like to leave a client and just say, I'm sorry, I can't help you, and hang up. Like, I just think that's just not the best, I guess, practice. As a business owner, I always want to leave them with somebody else that they can go to.
Yeah, basically, I am either a stop sign or a guidepost. Right.
Yes.
That's how kind of we can view ourselves of I'm either the last stop for them, or I need to be able to point them to somewhere else. And sometimes the point to source is, just I might not have anybody specific in mind, but I can give some like, okay, I don't know of anybody in your area, but here are 3 to 4 things that you need to ask anybody that you call, or here's good signs of a company, kind of, at least, again, this more education along.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And usually they're very appreciative, and they're like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. No one else has helped us. Like, we've called a million places, and they're just like, sorry, can't help you. So, they have a problem and they want somebody to solve it. And so I try to help as much as I possibly can.
Earlier, you described your desire to run a more of a boutique style company. What does that mean to you?
Well, running a boutique style company doesn't necessarily mean, I guess when you go to a boutique store, sometimes they're very high prices and very like luxury goods, but that doesn't necessarily mean that for me. I just think really going above and beyond and just really noticing all the really small details with their pets and making sure that the client is like very well in the loop with me. If I notice something is off with their cat, I'm going to say, hey, something's weird. I'm not okay with this. Like, I think we might need to, call a vet or whatever. Like, I'm just very overly attentive to all their pets.
Yeah, when I think of that word, it's usually small shops, but what's really cool about them is that they're specialized, right? They only carry a few lines of each item. So that kind of gets back to what you were saying earlier of going, yeah, I wanted to specialize in cats mostly because like you have a passion for them. You have 2 rescued ones, like you yourself rescued one from a car. So like it's you're passionate about this, but also it makes the information scope a lot more manageable, and you can really become an expert in what's going on and the topic that you're needing. So it kind of helps bring it all full circle to go, look, this my focus is narrow, but my knowledge is deep in what I'm dealing with.
Yes, and I'm always sending out newsletters, or I'll post a blog about these are great cat dishes because whisker fatigue is a real thing, and people go, oh my gosh, we had no idea, like like, and that makes me happy that they're like getting all this information. And I even had a client say, like, we love when you send newsletters out and send us a bunch of information we had no idea about. Like, it's really helped us give a better care to our cat. So
your newsletters, are you sending those to only existing clients, or do you have a lead magnet on your website so you're kind of talking to a bunch of different people?
As of now, I'm just sending it through. I use Time to Pet, and so I'm just sending it through Time to Pet to all of my existing clients. Yeah. It's
so fantastic to do that because you continue that conversation with them. And it really is just another touch point, because I know for us, like we've got a lot of clients that maybe only use us for 1 week a year when they travel for Christmas. And so it's then like, how do I stay top of mind for 51 weeks out of the year? Right? Like, how do I? And so it's like these newsletters direct to clients. And also, I don't know about you, Kerri-Ann, but like it kind of changes what we can talk about of like, this is only to my clients. And you get some information and we can have a little bit of a deeper relationship here than what social media can convey or other avenues.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And they really appreciate all the different topics they've told me. So I think it's pretty awesome that they're loving those newsletters that I send out.
And it doesn't have to be, they don't have to be in depth. You're not writing a book each time. It can be.
No.
How often are you sending out those newsletters?
I try to do one like once a month. And then as far as like, I'll put my blog like on my, it's at the bottom of my website. I'm trying to do one for every season and have like a different topic, like, flea and tick prevention for the summer. Cause we're in the deep South. So, flea and ticks are year round here. So I try to tell, hey, like you could, it could come from anywhere, even though you have an indoor cat. So it happens.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
Yeah, and it's important to not get caught up with I've got to be doing, I got to do this daily, or I got to do this weekly, or I got to do this monthly. It's like whatever's manageable for you, right? That you can be consistent with is so important, because if you pick a cadence where you start putting something out every week or even every month and you're really busy, the quality is going to slip. People won't be valuing these as much. And so kind of having every season or every quarter, sending these things out, these blogs, like you really have time to flush this out, make it really beneficial to people instead of just a throwaway piece of information.
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like if I was doing it so often, people would just be like, oh, it's another newsletter. Like instead of being like, wow, like this is great. We haven't seen one in a couple months. Like, I wonder what this is about.
Oh, so it has a little bit of scarcity to it then, doesn't it? It's something that people can look forward to oh, I see this. I know there's going to be gold in this. And it kind of gives a little bit of you mentioned that you're kind of running this boutique, this premium service. Do you find it difficult to sell that to potential clients when they call you?
Honestly, no. I feel like I am constantly learning and constantly trying to gain as much knowledge as possible. And then also like when I do meet and greets, I always come in with, I made a like kind of a makeshift slideshow, and I show them my liability insurance, and I'll show them my certificate for being a professional pet sitter, and I show them my background check and all these things so that like they know that like I'm a serious business, and all these things are very important to me, and they should hopefully help the client feel somewhat a peace of mind when they are hiring me for a service.
Some of those things as we actually just got an email the other day of somebody who said, hey, I see all these things on your website, like insurance and letters and certifications. What do those actually mean for me? And it was like, and going, yeah, right. Like people don't know why being pet first aid and CPR is beneficial.
Yeah.
Like they see that and they go, okay, what does that get me? What does that get my cat? And so us as the business owner going, okay, let me translate this a little bit more into some information that you can work with actually, instead of just throwing a bunch of acronyms at people.
Yeah. I actually had a client say, I didn't know you could give cats pet CPR. And I was like, yeah, it's very, very different than giving a CPR to a dog. So I was like, yeah, you actually can.
Have you heard of Time to Pet? Claire from Acting Critter Sitters has this to say.
Time to Pet has honestly revolutionized how we do business. My sitters can work much more independently because they have ongoing access to customer and pet information without relying on me. I save hours upon hours of administrative time on billing, processing payments, and generating paychecks.
If you're looking for new pet sitting software, give Time to Pet a try. Listeners of our show can save 50% off your first 3 months by visiting timetopet.com/.
Too often, we can get caught up with, well, I know what this means for me, right? And not be customer focused, and they have no idea. Like, I don't know, like when people contact you, what's their typical background? Have they used a pet sitter before, or do they, have they used friends and family? Kind of where do you find people meeting you?
So a lot of people haven't used a professional pet sitting service before, or they've used a sister or a brother, or they bring their cats to their grandma, or, something like that. Or they've used another service in town, and they don't want several different people coming in their home at the same time, because my cat is very skittish, and the consistency with knowing that I'm the owner and the solo sitter, they're going to get the same person every single time. And that has really been a huge deal to a lot of my, we'll say, helicopter cat moms like myself, It's been a huge game changer for them. They're like, we love that. Like, that is just huge for us. So, yeah, it's really, really important for, I guess, people to have the same mindset as I do with their pets.
Yeah, and being able to find those, I mean, I call them pain points, but they're concerns for that client, and really being able to speak to that directly. And that's why those early questions are so important, to get to know that client before you even start talking about pricing or anything like that, or service. Like, get to know why they're calling you. Right? And sometimes it's, well, sometimes it's, well, they just Googled the first thing, and called the first person. And they don't know, from Adam. They're just calling somebody and you picked up. And so it's like, okay, like, I can work with that. But when you find people who go, yeah, I used another service, or I used to use my mom, and I'm really looking for something more, right? That's at the end of the day, that's what they're trying to convey, this moreness. And then we can step in and go, more? Like, let me tell you what's possible.
Here we go. You ready? Like I have clients be like, please don't vacuum. You don't have to vacuum. I'm like, but I love to vacuum. Like, it's going to happen. Like, sorry. Even yesterday, my client was like, and you vacuum all the time. Please don't do it. I was like, it's fine. This is how I roll.
Since you love to vacuum, Kerri-Ann, do you have a favorite vacuum, or maybe one that when you see in a client's home, you like grit your teeth in despair because you don't like it?
Well, I'm kind of ridiculous. I just bought a Shark wand vac specifically for my business to bring to clients' homes. Like,
I love it.
Yes, I was like, okay, we're stepping up our game. No, I mean, sometimes they have the big clunky like vacuums, and like, I had a client that was like, I'm so sorry, like, we're about to leave, but the vacuum doesn't work anymore. And so I just kind of made that decision. I was like, I'm just going to start bringing my own.
Yeah. So. Well, that's it's consistency too. Like, the number of times that I'll go to use a vacuum, and you're like, there's no suction to this. Oh, A, it's crammed full of hair, and B, it's like, I know I've gotten really good at breaking down a vacuum and finding all the hidden filters and stuff. And you're like, this thing has never been. They don't even know this exists. Like, oh my gosh, like, this is terrible. Terrible.
Yeah, it's like, this is like 10 years of like, filter gunk, and it's like, I'm just gonna go ahead and bring my own.
But that's part of that refinement process of what do my services do? What do my services? Because at the end of the day, you don't want to have to be spending 15 minutes breaking down, scrubbing out, emptying out some nasty old vacuum cleaner to try and desperately, tepidly vacuum up the litter. You want to be able to get that done so you can focus on other things. And it's about, what are my priorities in this visit? And so if my priority is quality time with the cat, everything else needs to be shaped around my ability to do that, including bringing my own vacuum. So I know when I plug this in, it's going to work, and I don't have to sit there and futz around and find the backup and empty it. And because then it's like, I'm not here to be a vacuum repairman. Like, I'm not.
Right. Yeah. No. And like, time is valuable. And if, say, you only have a 30-minute drop-in visit and I'm spending 15 minutes trying to fuss with the vacuum, like, that's not good for, what the client's expecting you to be there for. So.
Yeah, and meeting those client expectations. Again, this back to, what does it mean to be, premium, to be boutique? There's some high expectations for the service that you're getting here. And when you walk in, and it's even things down to, you're asking a bunch of questions that I'm sure they've never thought that would be asked of them during the onboarding, and you're like, oh, and also I bring my own vacuum. What?
Yeah.
What
they're that? Like, what? And I'm like, it's fine, I got it. So like, it's sitting there with the dustpan and whatever, like, it made more sense to do that for my company and save time.
Well, and so when clients come on board with you and you're going through the onboarding process, you charge for meet and greets. Talk to us about kind of how your decision that landed on that.
Well, I charge for meet and greets solely because I wanted to make sure that people were really serious, because in our area in Nashville, we do have a lot of people who use, a neighbor or a friend or whoever. And I just thought that it would help me once again kind of get to the people who are really serious about hiring a professional sitter. And then I also I include a lockbox. with the fee, and they love that. They're like, "Oh my God, a lockbox? This is for me." They try to give it back to me, and I'm like, "No, that's for you to keep." And they're like, "Oh my gosh!" Like they think they won the lottery or something. Sometimes it's really funny, and I'm like, "It's just a lockbox, but okay, whatever."
Yeah,
It's really it's cute. Like I love that they get excited about a lockbox. But yeah, I'm like it's included, and I think it's important because it I think also shows like your professionalism and seriousness about your business. And you take time to plan, at least I know we probably both do, your day around like, okay, I've got a meet and greet. Like yesterday I had to do a quick meet and greet because a client that I have had moved to a different apartment, and I wanted to make sure that I knew where everything was before they were leaving again. So I just decided that was a good thing. And plus, if I have travel clients, wear and tear on your car and gas and all those things, it just helps kind of cushion that, car issue as well.
yeah. Well, I know a lot of people do get frustrated of, oh, I'm just getting price shoppers coming through my doors, and I do all these meet and greets, and then 1% book me, or I don't know, or they say, oh, I found somebody else, or they change their mind, and going, well, one way to get around that is to have them pay, have that fee there as a barrier to your. When we have that mindset of, oh, no barriers, right? I want everybody. I want it easy to come into my company.
Yeah.
While that is true, if we want to make sure that it's not like a terrible experience, having some small barriers to people that they have to jump over does speak to that level of commitment and intentionality of using our business, and it acts as a filter and screening, so we're not wasting our time, right? That's a huge aspect of why that kind of thing is important.
It's very important. Yeah. I feel like it's been a great tool for me. Not because of the money or anything like that. I just think that people also value you as a company when they know you're charging for a service up front, and they go, okay, these people are really serious about what they're doing.
When you talk to people about that process, do you get pushback from that fee at all?
I honestly never have.
Okay.
Which is like shocking. But I've definitely got the price shoppers, or people have called me and our cats are canceled, panic. And then I go back and forth with them, and we play phone tag, and I try to help them out. And then I get, oh, well, my neighbor's going to watch them. So I get stuff like that. And I'm like, that's fine, whatever.
Yeah.
It's going to happen, but really haven't gotten any pushback.
Yeah, I'd rather have a few email conversations back and forth with somebody, and then they go with their neighbor, than me get to do the meet and greet, go through that whole process, do all the review, the planning, the scheduling around, and them go, I'm fine. You're like,
I'm good.
Okay.
You're like, oh. I know. I'm just like, okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
It is. It's never 100%, right? That's the other thing of in business and in life. There's never a 100% guarantee of anything working out perfectly, right? It's like, follow. It's not, the formula is not, okay, if you don't ever want to have price shoppers or people wasting your time, implement, charging for the meet and greet, and that will solve it completely. No, there are some people. I know we have the kind of clients who are like, okay, $25 for a meet and greet, 30, okay, fine, whatever, I don't care. Like this, let's make this work. And then they change their mind. Like it's nothing to them. It's not that big of a deal. Yeah. But so it's like you'll never fully vet those people out of your process.
Right. Exactly. Yep. It's just part of what we do in our business.
Yeah. Well, and I know with cats, there's a lot of misconceptions around them and the kind of care that they need. Honestly, growing up, it was not uncommon for family and friends, leave a cat for 3 days, or, come over every 3 days or something like that. Thankfully, we have seen a lot of change in that over the last several years, just from our business perspective. When Megan and I first started almost 12 years ago, like we got no calls for cats. Nobody wanted cats. And now it's like, wow, people want us to stay there for an hour or come over for twice a day for 2 hours to see their cat. This is amazing. Like, I'm really happy about it. But there are those misconceptions that people have about their cats. Do you encounter that kind of stuff these days?
Yeah. So it's really funny. I have a great client, and she's also a great friend too. She will actually have me come over for playtime with her cat. She's like, I'm at work all day. Can you just come play with him? And I'm like, really? She's like, yeah, like an hour, just come like play with him and make sure he's like happy and good. I'm like, okay, like,
Yeah.
that's great. Like, and I love those. Those are my people. Like, that's what I would do. And like, I mean, I tell people in my meet and greets too, like, I'm running this company. I started this company as if I was hiring somebody to watch my girls. Like, that's my biggest thing. And so like, I would hire somebody to come and play with my cats. I just want to make sure they're happy. They're my kids. So yeah, I've definitely seen a lot of that. And, people really caring a lot more about leaving their pets for vacation and wanting the professional pet sitter and the twice a day drop-in visits and all that. So yeah, definitely have.
Do you find it's because they emotionally want their pet taken care of, or are they worried about emergencies and things that happen in their home, or is it a combination of both?
It's more of a combination of both, definitely. And a lot of my clients adopted cats during the pandemic, and so they're all like pandemic kitties, and they're like very attached to their parents. And so when they leave, they're like, crying and freaked out. The cats usually are just very well. The clients maybe sometimes too, very upset. But that's also how I am. So yeah, they just know their cats, and then when I do the meet and greet, I'm like, yeah, this cat could definitely benefit for an hour. They just want to sit next to you and cuddle, and that's all they care about. So
yeah, you get a sense for that. I mean, that's why that meet and greet's so important. Just gotta get a temperament testing and figure out what this cat's going to do. And then also once you get to know that cat, like I've had those where we're like, okay, yeah, we'll do that. Come over for 30 minutes, and then I'll be fine. Yeah. And man, you open that door, and that cat just comes flying at you like there's a person. Like, oh my goodness! And you go, okay, maybe we need to increase our time. Our time here, and not being afraid to tell that to the client. If it's, and because I know a lot of times we may be fearful of recommending more services because we don't want to come across as like, I'm not saying this because I want more money from you, but I'm saying this because I really think the cat's going to benefit. And we kind of have, I have those internal battles. I don't know about you, but of going,
yes,
like,
I do.
I feel like they could, but I don't want to come across as just, money grubbing or, this kind of things. And so, but that's where that relationship comes in. So when you make those kind of recommendations, people have that trust in you that it's in their best interest.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm the same way. I'm like, I'm not doing this because I want, more money from you. I just like, I really know that your cat would be so happy to have that extra time. And, sometimes I don't want to like overstep my boundaries, or like, yeah, like, you could book an hour. It's like, it's not that. It's, I want your cat to be happy. I know they love people. And if they're crying when I leave, which a lot of them do, I can hear them crying, and I'm like, it kills me. I'm like, they're so sad. So yeah, I totally get that.
Our friends at Pet Perennials make it easy to send a heartfelt condolence gift directly to someone with a broken heart. They have this awesome direct-to-consumer gift model that takes the effort off of us and ensures a thoughtful, personalized sympathy gift reaches your client or employees on your behalf. All gift packages include a handwritten card, colorful gift wrap, and shipping fees across both the U.S. and Canada. They also offer an array of milestone gifts and greeting cards that can be sent to celebrate birthdays, extend get-well wishes, and welcome new and rescued pets. Additionally, there are gift choices in case you need to send a sympathy gift in memory of a special human client or celebrate a pregnancy, engagement, or wedding of a pet lover. If you're interested, register for a free business gift perks account to unlock the all-inclusive discounted package prices. Since the service is used on an as-need basis, there are no monthly or annual obligations or minimum purchases. Learn more at petperennials.com, check out their business programs, or register for that free gift perks account by using the link in the show notes. Because part of that preparation for when they leave is about getting to know their temperament, understanding the client's expectations, and also having conversations and setting them up for when emergencies do happen, right? Because that's always an unpleasant part of that conversation of like worst case scenario kind of stuff. And I know that you've had a recent awful experience, Kerri-Ann, and kind of wanted you to talk about that and kind of how that's changed some conversations that you've had with clients.
Sure. I think I've always had somewhat of an emergency situation, but not to that extent. I've always asked clients to leave carriers out where they're accessible. If there is an emergency, I don't want to be looking for it and already in like a state of panic. And then I'll also ask them to, if they've got a neighbor or someone close by that they trust and I can't get to the pet, that's why I mainly implemented the lock boxes, that if they know the lockbox code or whoever, they can also get to the pets and get inside and get them if there's, a severe emergency like a fire. So it's someone that's a local emergency person, not somebody that's going on vacation with you.
Right. Yeah. That's always, you have to check that. Like, okay, thank you for filling out the emergency contact. Will that person be traveling with you at all? Right. And
right. Yeah. 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 And they'll put their spouse, and I'm like, no, I need someone that's like actually going to be here. So, yeah, it's been a lot of different little things that I think of every day to kind of up my emergency plan, but you can't really ever be fully prepared for some things that are out of your hands. Emergencies that happen at, the early morning hours, when you're only doing drop-in visits.
You did have a client who had a fire at their home, right? And it was early, and you had checked on them the day before. How did you learn about that and know that the fire had taken place?
My client had texted me at I believe it was 6 a.m. to let me know. And so I basically rolled out of bed instantly. I was still basically in my pajamas and drove there as fast as I could, and to be there. And she was out of town at the time, in a visiting family in a different state. So that's the only reason why I knew it had happened. I basically dropped everything I was doing to help that client, because I knew that if I was in that situation, I would have done the same thing. I would have 100% done that for any of my clients. If that was me and my cats, I can't even imagine. And my older cat and I did go through a tornado here in Nashville in 2020. And so, being in a real life emergency situation is never fun. And it's scary, especially when the client's not even close to home.
Yeah. Well, and it's so terrifying, especially when there's no control over that situation, right? There's nope. That's one of those truly worst case scenarios. You're at a client's home, fire overnight, pet inside, and there's no amount of coulda, shoulda, woulda, maybe, what if kind of stuff will make it. There's no, because we talk a lot about okay, emergency preparedness. When the emergency happens, review and make a different policy for next time. And it's
right.
For what, right? There's nothing I could have done here.
Yeah, especially having that severe of an emergency in my first year of full-time pet sitting was just oh my gosh, just heartbreaking. That's the worst thing ever. But yeah, I mean, there wasn't anything that I really honestly could have done. And the client knows that. And if I could have, I would have in a second. So,
yeah. How have you continued to process that though? Because and walking into and out of visits each day.
It's hard. It's hard. It still really stresses me out. I think my anxiety level has really gone up a lot. Just because of going through that and just thinking, oh my God, is this going to happen again? Hope to God it doesn't, but it's definitely a real thing. And just being overly OCD about things, about triple checking doors and triple checking the lockbox, and I even put locks on my stove so that my cats can't turn anything on. And just kind of trying to relay that to my clients too. Hey, baby locks are great. If you've got a jumper, they could turn appliances on, things like that. So just trying to kind of take it from that angle as well.
Yeah. Encouraging clients to do stuff, right?
And I see things, that I'm just oh yeah, this is not good. So like, I'll go and like fix it myself because I'm like, this could be bad.
Cords are a major one where you
Yes.
walk in and there's just like a rat's nest of cables on the floor, and you're like, well, let's make this disappear quickly.
Yeah. Or like, just like, oh, there's a bowl full of chocolates. Like, let's make this go into the cabinet. And it just stresses me out. I'm like, just trying to save you from a vet bill or like hair ties or any, like cats love all that stuff. So it's like, oh God, let's not do this.
Well, that's, sounds like a great, almost like a pre-flight checklist to send to clients of like, hey, you're going on a trip. Don't forget, here's these things. Please have this on hand. Please lock this away. Please make sure this isn't there. It's like that way, like we're doing everything we can. At the end of the day, we still may have to accept that something may happen that just can't control. But is there something? And then at the end, you have to, break yourself from that responsibility and go, okay, I have done everything I can. And it was still a terrible outcome. It was nobody wants that. I can't do anymore. And that's a tough place to be at with our business. And no matter what the situation is, it could be marketing, it could be losing a client, it could be whatever, but like recognizing my agency only extends so far. And then it's out of my control at that point, which is a small business owner is terrifying because we kind of like control, and being able to do things.
Yeah. I'm kind of a control freak. I really like to like be my own boss and like tell other people what to do, even though it's just myself. But you know.
Yeah. Well, you started off by introducing yourself as the CEO, right, of this.
I am.
I'm going, because I am. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm like, I wear all the hats. I do all the things. There's nobody else. It's me, myself, and I. It's okay, though.
Right. Well, because again, you mentioned that that's a huge benefit to a lot of your clients is having that consistency, having that same thing and really going, no, that's a strength of mine. That is something that I, and pretty much, only I in my area can provide and not getting tied up in, this coulda, shoulda, woulda kind of thing going, no, here I am. What are my strengths? How can I serve my clients best?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And it's not even me like voicing that. Obviously I tell them like, I'm a solo sitter. It's going to be me that you're going to get every single time. They voice it before I even say anything. They're like, we love it. It's just you. Like that you're going to always be with our cat. Like, it's not going to be like some other person that's coming in. And I'm like, and that's really important I feel like a lot of the cat people like are just very, into that idea of my company, that I do that for my company. And that's what I stand for.
Yeah, it is. And it's about connecting with them like that. It's about bringing them into that experience. One of your recent social media posts, you talk about, you have a picture of a beautiful looking litter box, right? And you said cleanest litter always, right?
It is beautiful.
But I think that kind of thing is really important because like clients don't know what they don't know, right? They disappear for a week or 2 weeks and then they show back up. And it's like, I don't want them to only at that point find out what an amazing job that I've been doing. I would like for them to know the entire time that they're gone.
Oh, they get a picture of like literally everything. I'm like, all the doors are closed and the litter boxes are clean and this is what their food looks like. And like, I am very diligent when it comes to that. Like, that's very important to me. Like, I want them to know this is what it looked like when I left. So when you come back, I don't know what it's going to look like, but this is how I left it.
It is. It's part covering our butt, but two, letting them know like we're doing quality work while you're away. Like there's multiple facets to that.
Yes, and I'm super OCD about it. Like I always clean off like the mats. Like they have to be like very nice and clean. Like I want their bowls to be clean. Like everything is tidy and it's important. And I have a lot of nurses and doctors that are clients, and a lot of them are like, "Hey, no shoes in the house." Like they're like, we're not about that life. And I'm like, I get it. You work in a hospital. Like, absolutely. So just anything that they ask of me, I'm going to do it. I really don't have any reservations about it unless it's something crazy, but I'm like, I don't know about that, but
not yet. Well, we find those boundaries of like, that's too much. Like we'll bring that back a little bit, but that's again, part of what decisions we get to make.
Exactly. Yep.
You have a background in entertainment, and
I do.
I was curious, kind of what tie-ins, if any, do you see between your background in entertainment and kind of how you make this an experience for clients?
It's quite the experience. Well, I mean, I feel like my strong suits really are like my meet and greets because I always had to be kind of like I was the lead singer in multiple bands for years and years, and so I was always like the front person. And I feel like in my business, I have to be the front person and kind of like lead like the meet and greet because it's just me. But just honestly, I feel like even for music, it was kind of almost like a sales background. So in a way, I'm in sales still, but selling my company, I guess, and my services. So I worked on Broadway for 11 years and we work for tips. And so I feel like that really helped me get more comfortable with doing a meet and greet and talking about exactly what I do and what I can offer for clients. And I sing to their cats and whatnot. And I'm sure they see me on the cameras and they're just like, oh my goodness. And to make up songs for them. It's really embarrassing, but I do. I do.
Do you send them those videos, or do you kind of just hope that they don't know what's going?
Sometimes I do. Yeah, I always send them videos of like cute stuff that they're doing, or like if they're cuddling with me or whatnot, and they love it. They love the pictures and all that. So they feel like one of my clients said, I feel like I'm there and I get to see like what he's doing like during the day when I'm not there. Like it's really awesome. We love it. So
that's probably one of the single highest praises you can get from a client of I feel like I'm there, right? Like
yeah. So she said, I love the updates you send and the pictures makes me feel like I get a little window into his day while I'm away.
Yes.
So sweet. I was like,
because again, like our jobs are to be there when the clients aren't. And so they don't get to experience what we do. Yeah. And I know it can be frustrating going, they never say thank you, or I don't feel like they fully appreciate me. Well, it is hard for them to do that because they're so remote, because they don't get to watch you unless they're literally watching you on a camera, which is a whole other story. But thinking like, how can I make this here and now? And how can I really bring them into my time? Because that's what that is, of like, they don't know what they don't know. And that's one of the hardest parts to get across to people in the industry. And, when I'm training staff members of like, they don't know. The clients have no idea unless we tell them, unless we show them the amazing litter box. And the number of people go like, you want me to take a picture of the litter box? I'm like, you're darn right I do. Because
I do. I've always done that. I'm like, I want to see a clean litter box at my house when I hire a professional. Like that's important to me. I don't know if anybody else cares, but they probably do.
We do. Well, because it's like, okay, I cleaned the litter box, but it's like, okay, but what does that mean?
But did you?
Did you? Exactly. Yeah. And that's where we go. I don't begrudge people for questioning that, because I question things all the time. Right.
Right. You can say you did this, and this all day long when you come for a visit, but to, show people in pictures at every visit is a whole different game. Like they really do appreciate that. Like, oh wow, they are doing their job.
Yeah, and finding and telling that story too, and bringing them into that and making them part of it. Like it really is. It's finding good action shots. It's finding, and part of these, some of the photos that you post, Kerri-Ann, it's like, oh, here's this cat, sitting by a faucet with a cup of water. It's like, I guarantee that picture just made the client's day, because they know, that my cat does that all the time. They know exactly, that's their personality, and that's telling part of that story.
Yeah, that's Greta. She
I love how you knew exactly who I was talking about.
I know all of, like, it's really crazy, but like I know all of like my cats that I care for. I know all their names. Like it's insane that I know all of them. But Greta, she sits there and she waits for me to fill up her cup, and I put her so cute. I'm like, okay, hold on.
Yeah. But that's the stuff that we get to do and bring that client into that. And, you could have chosen to take a photo of something else Greta was doing, but you knew that was important because that's what Greta does, right?
That's her thing. That's Greta. Yeah.
It's making the humans part of that pet care experience that we know we're providing that amazing experience to their pets. We have to remember that the clients, the humans they're just as invested in this as we are, if not more so.
Absolutely. Yes.
You've been doing this for, a full time for a full year now, right? And so what are your plans in the future?
Oh, I have so many plans. I just need to get them all down on paper. No, I mean, I'd love to in the future hire some employees. I just know that I'm going to be very diligent about who I'm hiring. I'm not sure. I don't have a timeline for that, but I am getting quite busy. And so it's a lot for one person to handle with as many clients as I have now. And I'd like to expand to different areas. Nashville's growing so much and it's crazy and traffic is crazy. And so it would be a lot easier on me living, I'm in the city basically, to have some other employees that I could send to some of these travel clients that I have they're living closer to them would be very helpful.
Can I recommend maybe a Spotify channel with cat songs? Maybe that's on.
I would love that. I would love it. Yes. And I mean, I would love to get into more fostering on the side too. Okay. I volunteered at the shelter that I got my older cat at for a while, for about a year. And then when I rescued October out of a car, that's my little cat, I fostered her because I wasn't really sure if I was going to keep her or not because I was a little stressed with my other cat. I was like, I don't think she likes her. I don't know. But I really enjoyed that experience. And there's never enough fosters in the area. We had the craziest kitten season ever here. So if I could get into that as well, that would be amazing.
Lots of exciting stuff going on. And, that growth phase, deciding how you want to do that, when you want to do that, like that's a lot of time. And it's one of those that you taking your time will be the single best thing you can do on that, right? Not pulling that trigger too early or jumping the gun on anything, but going, there's a time and place, and I can do this in an intentional way, right? Like you said, like I'm going to be very picky about these people that I bring on. Yeah,
because it's your company, it's your reputation, and I don't want to hire just somebody who isn't. I mean, nobody's going to ever be as passionate about your company than yourself, but I want people that are also passionate about pets and cats in general, that are really excited to do this as a quote unquote job, which I don't really feel like it's a job. It's, petting kittens and playing with them all day, but it's of course more than that. But, everyone always says, oh my gosh, that's my dream job. That's amazing. So, it would be really great to have a little team of people that I could really trust and rely on.
Yeah, we don't feel like it's a job, but it is a lot of responsibility. And that's hard to get across to not just potential clients of like, because I know people may say, oh, you're just a whatever. But it's like, no, let me walk you through this. But also to people wanting to come work for us, or when we start talking to people about this kind of position of going, I don't think it's not a normal job, but it's a heck of a lot more responsibility than you probably expect. And trying to communicate that in a good way it's difficult.
It really is. And I don't think people realize how sometimes you can be very mentally drained doing this because it's a lot of thinking about, did I do this? Did I lock the door? Did I do this? Is the cat okay? Like, did I, make sure and give them medication? Did I do this? Like, it's just a lot of that. And you're like, okay, I made sure everything was done. But, I always second guess myself. Like, did I really lock that door? So that's why I started taking a picture or videoing that I did lock that door so that I can look back later and go, oh, we're good. Just freaking out at 3 a.m. going, oh my God, I hope that cat's all right. I hope I really locked that door, which I usually do, but
yeah, it's and it doesn't ever stop. Like I just so you know,
No.
like you'll always have those things where like, did I? And so that's like
Mhm.
actually a conversation we have with our employees of like, hey, have you had any dreams about open doors lately? And they'll be like, oh my gosh, yes, I have.
Yeah,
like
I do. I'm like, oh,
it happens. It's sorry, that comes with the territory.
I know. Just like, oh, here we go. It's fine. I guess we wouldn't if we didn't care. We wouldn't have those kind of crazy thoughts at 3 a.m.
Well, Kerri-Ann, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I've so enjoyed our conversation. I know it touched on some heavy stuff, but it's important to do that and to have that preparedness, have those conversations with clients, and then us be prepared and making that business what we want for the season that we're in. I think that's just so critical. So I'm so thankful for your time today. And for listeners who want to follow along with your work, see some adorable photos of cats and some really clean litter boxes.
Yes.
How best can they do that, Kerri-Ann?
So they can visit my website, NashvilleKittySitter.com, and they can message me on there. I also have an Instagram, same name, at Nashville Kitty Sitter. And then I also have a Facebook page, but I'm not as active on there. But Instagram, that's my spot. Where I do most of my communicating, but you can also email me, NashvilleKittySitter@gmail.com as well. And I also have a phone number. It's listed on my website. It's my Google business number.
Nice.
Yeah.
Kerri-Ann, again, this is just so much fun. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been awesome.
How seriously do you take your business? Do you take it seriously enough to input some policies and procedures in place to make sure that you vet appropriately the people coming into your business to use your services? Whether that's cancellation policies, booking requirements, or meet and greet fees, you decide how you want to set that up. Because remember, we are not for everybody, nor should we be. And that means that our policies, our procedures, our onboarding process should be set up such that we filter out the people that are not good fits. And then once they are a good fit and they do use our service, we can wow them over and over and over again, because it's not just that we are exceeding their expectations, we're meeting them exactly where they are. We want to thank today's sponsors, Time to Pet and Pet Perennials, for making today's show possible. And we really want to thank you so much for listening. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll be back again soon.